Okay, so we are officially live on the Evolve and Ascend Facebook page. And I am so thrilled to have on my friend, Mitra Politi, who is an amazing human being, a spiritual healer, traveler on the path. I could say so many wonderful things, but we're here really to talk about his new work, which is a book called Insights, Steps to Truth. And I'm just so thrilled to share it with you all today. So hi, Mitra. Thank you so much for joining
Hi,
us.
hi Jennifer. So good to contact like this again. I'm also excited for this meeting.
Great. So I want to give you a proper introduction this time because when we did Instagram Live, I had you introduce yourself, but I think for our audience, it would be really great to just share a little bit about your story. So if you're okay with that, can I give you a nice big introduction?
Yes, definitely.
So for over 20 years, author and spiritual guide Mitra Politi has been under the radar intuitive healer and trusted teacher for fellow spiritual luminaries seeking a direct personal connection to spirit. Mitra is the spiritual director for Rhythmia Life Enhancement Center, the acclaimed transformational retreat center in Costa Rica, as well as a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine and certified acupuncturist and practitioner of indigenous Colombian healing. For 2 decades, Mitra has been living in Costa Rica in an ecological and spiritual community called Pachamama. For many years, he maintained an acupuncture clinic and designed and taught numerous transformational programs within the Pachamama community and abroad. In 2012, Mitra was invited by Taita Juanito Chindoy Chindoy, an indigenous Colombian healer from the Inga and Siona nations, to deepen his understanding of and connection to their ancient wisdom and healing methods. He continues alongside Taita Juanito to this day. Michael Beckwith, Graham Hancock, Jack Canfield, Kimberly Carter Gamble, Foster Gamble, Anita Morjani, and friends and contemporaries who have lauded his first book, Insight Steps to Truth, a book of prose wisdom gathered from his 25 years in meditation and spiritual contemplation. In short, beautifully laid out chapters on topics such as change, pain, happiness, freedom, and healing. Mitra offers a touchstone for a daily mindfulness journey, universal truths that stir the heart and soul into supportive contemplation, accessible for the novice meditator, as well as thought-provoking for the seasoned spiritual traveler. Quiet and understated, Mitra is just now becoming more widely known for his work beyond insider circles, being featured in the upcoming, well, now out, documentary Thrive 2, and The Medicine. Mitra is unique in his humble, heart-centered approach and appreciated for serving without the ego-driven motivational speaker trappings of pseudo-spirituality. His offerings are intended by individuals all around the world who are seeking a personal, firsthand experience with spirit and its teachings. Mitra regards himself as both a teacher and a lifelong student in the art of life and offers online and in-person courses in this arena. Mitra also offers transformational workshops and private coaching for entrepreneurs and CEOs interested in bringing a spiritual and holistic focus to their work in the world. A generous friend and guide to many, Mitra brings commitment, passion, clarity, intuition, and humor to every endeavor. For more, visit insights-thebook.com. So, hi.
It's much more easy when somebody else is representing me than I need to represent myself.
But it's so beautiful. I mean, all of those things and more. Your work and wisdom is very special and I'd say necessary in today's times. So I want to thank you for all that you're putting out into the world when it's desperately in need of this.
Thank you. It's always an inner research and an inner evolution, and then what we got to do with our evolution rather than just to share it. So I always look for new avenues how to share which I experience.
Amazing. So today, I'd love to absolutely talk about your book and just some of the topics that are covered within it. So beginning on that, I'd love to talk about your insights on what is the path to becoming a healer. I think there's a lot of, people that have these spiritual awakenings and then come out of it and say like, I want to be a healer. I want to be a shaman. I'm a witch. I'm a this, I'm a that. It's like an interesting spiral. So I'd love to hear kind of how you'd articulate that experience, the path of the healer.
It is very very beautiful that uh, being evoked for oneself, the longing to heal other people and to learn the art of healing. Um, so when many times when people have the glimpse of this inner process that they are touching the healing vibration, and they see that they overcome or had a breakthrough in their how they are receiving and perceiving, um, this longing is being awakened now. um, After the experience, there is the how. And the spiritual, the healer path is not so easy, to be honest, because a true healer path is the one that is there to heal himself, is the one that is daring to evolve himself, sometimes without compromise, because when we are truly um, wanting to commit to that, we are creating some sort of a contract with life. We are creating a contract with the creation for self evolution first. So first, if we want to become a healer, first we need to learn how to heal ourselves and how to tap into the evolution inside of us. And like this, we can share with others. Because as deep as we will heal ourselves, as deep as we will be able to tap into the forces of creation inside of us, like this, we will be able to touch the other. Yeah. And many times we want to dress with something that looks interesting and cool. Uh, but the reality of it is that we will actually need to undress a lot, from our personality, from our ideas, because to be a vessel is better to be a clean vessel. In order to be a clean vessel, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. So I encourage people to follow that passion, but to to follow it fully, to follow it fully. Yeah. And to dare to dive deeper, and to be able to cross and to reshape and to study from inside, and then to adapt a certain modality that feels close to them, because the modality is a vessel, whether it's Chinese medicine, whether it's plant medicine, whether it's different form of healing. We also need to have a base of knowledge and information. It's they goes together, and once we have that, then we can share, then we can heal, then we can understand, and then we can help humanity to evolve.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a healthy perspective to look at it. You know, it's an ongoing process too. I love the quote of how healing is not linear, right? And even as a healer, it's not a linear journey. It's very cyclical in nature, I'd imagine, right?
It's more like a spiral. It's more like a spiral that we start to work on something, and we refine it and we define it and we are growing with it, and we meet it again. But we meet it again with more maturity, we meet it with more experience, and then we act upon it in a different way. And like this, we are evolving again. So it's a growth in spiral.
I'd love to talk a little bit about your first inciting incident, that longing of wanting to become a healer or to actually claim I am a healer.
I'm still not claiming it. This is, but my first really step into the Chinese medicine was after I traveled in India, and in that time I didn't understand so much what is happening to my spiritual being. But um, I went very young in my 20s to travel in India, and the impact of the culture, the impact of the spirituality that is all around, and me leaving my familiar territory, started the process of unshedding a lot of my ideas, the way that I was relating to myself, different level of the personality. I was just falling in order for something new to come, and was very potent spiritual time in my life. And when I came back to my home country, I was curious about how to study energetic map and how to heal and how to support myself integrating the experience. And like this, I turned into Chinese medicine that have a vast knowledge and a vast philosophy how to heal. And like this, I started my journey with
Mm,
the healing. And then it was unfolding a step by step, a step by step. A lot of good things evolved from that.
yeah. And the path of Chinese medicine too. I mean, it's interesting, coming into the world, right? And how our upbringing, our culture, ideas of God, our religion, how we relate to things. And then, coming into a modality like Chinese medicine and understanding the way of the world, an interconnected thing, it's kind of interesting to consider with acupuncture, how there are all these kind of different energy currents within the body, but through the spiritual path, looking at the different energy currents through that astral realm, the more that you've touched these
Mm.
modalities, has it all kind of seemed to synchronize in some way?
Yes, it's so beautiful. It's the Chinese medicine is not only the philosophy or the understanding of what is happening in our body, is always reflecting of what is happening with nature. Yeah, what is the climate that is around us, how creation works as a phenomena, and how that is impacting us as being part of it. So it gave a beautiful lenses to start to translate life and to start to translate the elements around us. And that brought a lot of understanding, but I had where to replace all of this understanding. And that made an order and created a platform that will be easy to come out with, to heal other people, and to investigate within myself. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it reminds me of the great hermetic axioms of as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. Every connection somehow connects on a greater level.
Yes, yes, it's completely, absolutely truth. And and it will become more truth when we have a direct experience with it. As long many times people can say something like what you share now that have a lot of depth, but it stays in the idea. I encourage people to experience it, to go and to dare to different modalities. There is so many options now in our time, uh, but to discover that which you just said now, that is super important for our human experience. Yeah, actually, our human experience will not be complete if we don't experience in that.
Completely. It becomes alchemical then, because if you hear that statement, initially it can be just a platitude, right? It's just a platitude. Okay, it sounds nice. It can become a meme. But then when you have that direct experience and touch these different modalities and dance with the ineffable, you're like, oh, now I really understand what this means now.
Yes, because in the moment that we have a direct experience, we start to own it. It doesn't stay on the head as an idea. It's becoming a direct experience, and is not something that we need to believe because somebody told us or that we read some scriptures. It's becoming our own life understanding, and it have a domino effect. It starts to put things in a different perspective. Yeah, and we start to relate to life, and we start to relate to other from a different place. This is the magic. This is evolution.
I think there's something also interesting to be said on the path. And I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. So through this time, I've been really leaning a lot on the Tao and this idea of reconciliation of paradox, where you can hold this one idea simultaneously with another. You can touch infinity and understand the interconnected nature of all things, but then also understand there's a chaos within the cosmos. So holding paradox, I feel like, is something really interesting, and I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yes, it's the art of the middle path. It's the art of the non-duality, and in order to understand how two opposites can exist, we need to find the middle line. And the middle line is the soul that is inside of us. The middle line is that creation that is inside of us. When we are tapping into the creation that is inside of us, this particle of God, and we study how to rest into it, yeah, we can easily hold two opposites in the same time. We have always where to come back to. What is happening, especially with the dizziness that is happening around now, uh, people have a tendency to get caught up in the dizziness of life. Yeah. Um, Instead of tapping into the center of that phenomenon, the center of that dizziness, where it's still and quiet and relaxed, and to look at what is around them from that perspective, first of all. Yeah. Otherwise, it's happening, it's leading into conflict, it's leading into opposition, it leads into different opinions. Yeah. But how we can come into that place that um, that everything that is around that can coexist in us in peace. That is part of our mission as humans to investigate, because always will be obstacle in life. Uh-huh. And that obstacles have a purpose. They are there to create a certain tension. Out of that tension, something new, if this tension will be healthy, it will give energy, it will give strength for something new to come. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah, I love mentioning that you mentioned tension. You know, you think of like a catapult or a slingshot, you have to be pulled back sometimes to be launched forward. And you can't just
Yes. Yes, it have to gather a momentum. For something new to come, needs to be a momentum. That obstacle are many times creating that momentum for us to say, okay, enough of that. I need to bring something new into my life. I need to engage with something different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think as human beings too, we tend to seek comfort and to seek, you know, okay, well, I've arrived here and now I can stay in this little bubble and this is where my awareness is. But that journey is not like that. I feel like comfort is like the antithesis of the path because there is a lot of discomfort in the space of growth.
Yes, it's something that many spiritual seekers don't want to embrace. Yeah, the we are many times we're just dropping into our comfort zone, and it's okay to go to rest from doing and evolving and acting, all of it. We need to find a way also to rest, but not to fall asleep. Yeah, not to fall asleep into the comfort zone. So every now and then it's important for us to do something that will take us out of the comfort zone. Yeah. um, this is part of the reason why I put myself now a little bit more out to the world, is 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 to take me out of my own comfort zone in a way, and to engage with something new that will almost force me to bring something new for myself.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you are. So in talking about that too, you know, I'd love to talk about your path to the book, right? So stepping out of a comfort zone. As an artist and creative personally, I can attest to the fact that for me personally, it feels when I share words or art or insight, you really feel exposed. It's like I've just opened up my chest and shown my heart to the world. So that is not necessarily the most comfortable thing sometimes. So I'd love to hear your path over the collection of insights and saying, hey, I'm going to put this out into the world now.
Yes, there is something really important on that vulnerability that you just said. Um, because when we are vulnerable, not when we are getting offended, when we are vulnerable, we are open. And like this, we can also engage with life in a different way, and life suddenly have more access to us. Yeah. That vulnerability is super important for us as humans. Um, for me, with the book, I didn't I didn't meant to write a book. Yeah, it was a chain of events that led me to sit in front of the paper and to write. And there was some crisis, a strong crisis in my marriage life, that there was a lot of falseness around me. And what I did, I just sat in front of the paper and write insights from the spiritual path and truth and guidance that I needed to hear for my own self in that moment, in order to help me to cross through what I was facing. And it was a process of defining and reorganizing kind of almost my reality through that. Um, and so I would sit, I would write, and when I had a moment that I will need to reflect, I will go to the paper and I will read it, and then I will just meditate with that. Um, and it brought me back to the center. It brought me back to the truth, which was very, very important in that time for me. And then I saw that there is a lot of really good material there, and I said, okay, one day I will put it into a book and will share it with other people. Mm-hmm.
It's powerful how, again, so as humans that are creature comfort seekers, or afraid of the tension, the pullback, the catalyst moving forward, as sometimes how like the broken heart can actually be a portal to something deeper, a new insight, a new awareness, or leaning deeper into how can I seek insight and find the God particle within me to heal through these words that are coming through me to hopefully heal others. That non-dual perspective, right?
Yes, it's we have a strong guidance, no, whether we know it or whether we not, whether we see it or not, we are not alone. And many times in crises, we think that well, this is the end, you know, and but in that time, if we keep our trust and we keep our faith, we see that something else is entering. There is a subtle guidance that we can tap into. Yeah, and it will, if we follow that, it will bring us into a better place. It will bring us into renewal. It will bring us into something is dying and something else is giving birth to. So to be curious what life, where life is guiding us, and what is giving birth to through us. Yeah, we are so occupied with the moment of death, yeah, that we forgot that there is a rebirth after that. Yeah, and it's important to look at our experience in life and to see that a lot of events happened, but we managed to cross through, and we renew ourselves and we renew our perspective, and uh, we evolve. Something changed. We didn't stay the same. So that event many times are to evolve us, to change us, that we will not stay in the comfort zone whatsoever.
That's the beauty of language, but it also can be the limit of language, right? We are so used to, especially I think within like the American culture, like punctuating things like death period, healed period, not
Yeah.
space for the dot, 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 or the ongoing processes of all of these things.
Yes, it's super important to emphasize that, um, because the current of life, this river of life, is an ongoing river, and we cannot frame one part of the river and say, okay, that's it. The water will not move. Yeah, I capture it, I understood it. And if we do, then the water becomes stagnant. The water become like a swamp. It can. So that change is very important, super important, and we need to remind ourselves uh, that fact again and again, as humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I'd love to touch on too before I'm so excited to read passages from your book, but something a lot of us, and we talked about this on our Instagram live too, a big theme of this year has been a lot of death. And
Mm,
it can be from witnessing personal loss or the death of what is familiar, the death of what is known. um, just, you know, this ongoing transformation process. So, for a lot of my friends personally coping with death, discomfort, change, can you offer some words of advice kind of from that non-dual perspective? Again, I'm just touching on death maybe as a door to the new.
yeah. First, death is on a human level. We need to experience the grief of it, because something that we loved, something that we respected, something that was bringing joy to our life is coming to an end, and we will experience the grief. It's important to allow that grief to be, but not to hold on to the grief and not to hold on to the story. And when we are allowing the grief to be, we will see that there is a letting go process. In that letting go process, some ideas are also falling away. Yeah. And if we allow it, there is ideas that will fall away. Some facts that we stick to in life are changing. So the emotional process is attached into evolution process. Yeah. That when we are allowing ourselves to experience the emotion, but to allow this emotion to flow, it will bring change. And the wisdom of when we are encountered with death, um, the the insights is a lot about what we do with our time, what we do with our life, how we where we put our energy to, um, because the perspective of time become very substantial. Yeah, it's death is always reflecting our immortality, that we are here for a certain amount of time. What we are doing with that time, it's strong for a lot of people, rather than the grief itself. It's strong to face that, but if we face it with open eyes, it will force us to reorganize where we are giving our energy, what we are consuming mentally and emotionally, who is the people around us, if they are takers or givers, if I'm doing, um, if I'm experiencing my life as an adventure or as an obligation. Yeah. So it gives that impact of the death give a strong awakening call in a way. So if we go into it consciously, we can abstract so many good things from that strong fact of life. Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I feel like that's the perfect segue into the two sections from your book that I want to touch upon. So there are chapters on emotions and the warrior. So, talking about death and change and, coming off the heels of this interesting election and just all of what's happened this year, there's been a lot of emotions. And in coming into a deeper relationship with our emotions, hopefully we can emerge as like a spiritual warrior, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to like gracefully through change and discomfort and an ever shifting landscape of the world internally and externally.
Yes.
So I am going to pull up this book and here we go. So are you okay with me reading? Because they're so short and beautiful, and we still have a half an hour of time. So I'd love to maybe read both of them as chapters, or would you maybe want me to choose?
No, I will flow with you
Okay,
completely.
great. So this is from the chapter on emotions, from Insight Steps to Truth. In the meeting between strong emotion and creation, there is liberation, change, and growth. This is the state of an emotional wound. It refuses all help, yet cries for it. It rejects all, yet doesn't want to be rejected. It does not love, yet yearns for love. It fears everything, yet does not want to be afraid. When you attempt to control the uncontrollable, you enslave yourself to stress and anxiety. When you devote yourself to the unknown, you surrender to love and beauty and open to the power of life. When fear grows stronger, when all seems closed, do not break, do not flee. Face this primal fear, rooted deeply within you. Stand in your ground, look it in the eyes. When fear arises, it is hard to see what is real and what is illusion, where reality begins and where it ends. Recognize this and relax into not knowing, and the fear of fear itself will disappear.
Yeah.
I'd love if you could maybe expand upon that for us. It's just so beautiful and precious.
It's it is very very strong. It is very potent to get kind of confronted by the words, because there are truth in potency, you know. And many times emotions, the emotional process is there to serve us, although is uncomfortable. Yeah. But is very important for our human experience. Without feeling emotions or without engaging with our emotions, we will be crippled. We will not be able to communicate, to interact with ourselves and with the outside. Uh, but how we allow this human phenomena of the emotion to serve us and not to be a burden on us. Yeah. So it is when we are experiencing emotion, we are consuming the emotions, and it's as the same as we are taking food. Yeah. What is nourishing our body, we are absorbing, and what is not, we are disposing. Yeah. And that is a healthy process. We need to nourish ourselves. So also with the emotions, we are experiencing an emotion is not something to resent, is not something to suppress. There is always something good about it. There is, or it will cause understanding, or it will make us more accessible, or it will make us more put in the boundaries, but it's there to serve us with how to interact better between us and what is surrounding us. And when we get fed from the emotions, from the insight, from the wisdom, that's what they can give us, and we take that, and what is not, we are willing to let go. What doesn't serve us from that emotion, we need to dispose. When we have that healthy understanding and a healthy dance, the emotion will be a catalyst to make us grow into wisdom faster, much faster than if we just read a research. Yeah. Because um, it is a direct experience.
Completely. And I think there's a power to, within some of the new age spiritual communities, there's this idea of like just always vibing high and like ignoring the shadow or anger or these things that are very human. But how can you learn without having that dance and saying, okay, well, thank you, anger, for teaching me what's on the other side of this, which can be grace.
Yes, it's a trap on the spiritual path, and because we can create a spiritual bypass. Yeah, we have a high reason, yeah, or spiritual reason why we don't interact with the pain. We have a spiritual reason why we should avoid it, eh, and we need to start to look at the spiritual bypass. The the New Age community is just a baby that now starts to take its first step. Yeah, it will evolve, I believe, into something really beautiful, and already there is so many positive things in it, but uh, it's still missing to confront his own teaching. Yeah, and in the moment that it will confront is the teaching that the New Age is bringing, then it will start the process of maturity. Um, Seeing what is our spiritual bypass is going to be one of them. There is no way out of it. There is no way out of it. Otherwise, it's just a pink glasses that we put on our eyes, and which give us one color, but the whole rainbow is available.
Yes, I love that. I think that's a perfect segue into speaking about like what it looks like to be like the warrior on the path. So I'd love to.
Mhm.
So the warrior. The warriors I have met along this journey are kings who rule their inner kingdom, those who have walked through the fire and come out stronger. So it begins, and so it continues. Submerge yourself in confusion and uncertainty, and contraction and fear quickly arise. One is frozen. In movement and trust, seeing from the reference point of love, the pain and fear can be released. Go through the challenges, not as a victim, but as a warrior. Rather than running away from the challenge, run towards it. Learn to fight for life. Learn to fight for the good in you and the good that surrounds you. Do not fight from the space which creates war, but from a space of true courage. Stand on 2 feet and go forward towards your dreams.
I get goosebumps. This is exactly the place that a real transformation can happen. This is exactly the place that we are taking something that looked like in the beginning as a disadvantage and something that will put us down, and we are bringing it into a higher place. And I was encouraging myself in that moment to bring consciously, to bring that into what is happening. Yeah, and because every challenge is also an opportunity. Every challenge is also an opportunity, and how we take that opportunity, never by becoming a victim to it, never by becoming a victim to it, because in the moment that we are becoming a victim to it, we already let that which happened to win. Yeah, and but by not confronting that so much on the outside, but by confronting ourselves, yeah, how to move forward, and how to collect the pieces that we need to collect, or how to look again at the reality with the new eyes, and to take it and to embrace it and to strengthen ourselves, and from that to move on. So each time that we do it, we are stepping consciously into this phenomenon of the rebirth that is happening. We're stepping out consciously to it, but we will come out a little bit different. We will come out stronger. We will come out wiser. We will come out with more resources inside of us. Yeah, and this is the spiritual path. Is the path of the healer. Is the path of being human, truly. You know, and if we will embrace it, if humanity will embrace it, uh, we will create something much more harmonious. We will create something much less with self-destruction. Yeah. So to remember this inner warrior that all of us have. Yeah, it's coming built in within the system. Yeah, we just need to remember and to learn how to use it and how to sharpen that tool that creation gave us.
Absolutely. And I love how you mentioned it as looking at yourself as a warrior, but not from a space of war, you know? I think, again, there's language is this way to play with infinity, but there can be a limitation within language, like what projection of an idea, you know, warrior, like being like aggressive or like fierce, but it can be graceful and gentle.
Yes, that is super important because um, many times people are fighting with the reality, fighting with the other, and but what we need to encourage is the inner warrior that will be able to overcome, his own fears, that will be able to overcome his own prejudice, that will be able to overcome his own strict ideas, beliefs, and attachment. Yeah, and in the moment that we are doing that work, we see that we don't need to fight outside. Yeah, but many times what is coming from the outside is so challenging that the way to act upon it is with fear, and fear is bringing the one that is creating wars and conflict and wants to weaken what is in front of him in order to be strong. Yeah. that, that never bring um, a harmony that is long lasting. It brings moments of peace or quietness, or but it's just out of control. Is not out of complete harmony.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had a conversation with a friend quite recently about stoicism and also that kind of being something maybe misunderstood, but just being able to kind of be present with it all, to not fight conflict with more conflict, to be able to kind of be in that place. And I think even working in ineffable realms, this divine art of surrender, that takes a warrior's heart to surrender into, okay, what is this here to teach me? How can I lean into it instead of fighting against it and creating more conflict or pushing it further away?
Yes, we need to learn how to rest into ourselves before we are acting. Yeah, yeah, because then how we are acting will be different. How we are acting out will be different, and instead of it will start to change something. Instead of that we are reacting, we will respond. Yeah, um, because what we see many times is just a strong reaction. People are reacting to what is happening, um, and not a lot of people are responding. If we are, it's just from a different place. If we are responding, I'm not saying like for us to be passive and everything is happening around us and we don't do anything. No, um, respond, don't react. And when you respond, when we are responding with more intelligence, we are responding with more wisdom, we are responding with more experience, we are responding usually with more care and more understanding. uh, like this we can really uh, have a dialogue. Yeah, like this we can really have a dialogue with our friends even if we don't agree on what is happening, but we are agreeing in the heart that um, that, that I'm human and you are human. Mhm.
Mm.
So the disagreement, people are taking conflict or disagreement to a very harsh place. Yeah, they are condemning the other. Uh, but if you condemn the other, it will reflect back. Somebody else will condemn you. Um, Remember that we are all human and we are all carrying this particle of God inside of us. Mhm.
Love that. Yeah, and there's something about learning the choreography of these different dances, like the dance with humanity, the dance with nature. How can I have the different tools to navigate where something comes this way, I move this way with grace, right? And I think there's something so important about that, especially now with differing opinions, whether it's political, spiritual, cultural, wherever you're at, to learn how to gracefully ask questions and exchange and dance and move. That's where real growth comes from, to like have a collaboration instead of a conflict.
Yes, it's humanity is passing through a strong test because never before the human experience was involving receiving such an impact of information, such an impact of movement and also responsibilities. So how we will respond to all which is around us in a better way is if we will find the creation inside of us, if we will have a healthy dialogue with our being, if we will have a healthy dialogue with our soul, if we will go and rest there, yeah, if we will find a way how to rest into our being again and again and again, and from that the impact on the outside will get a proportion. We will not lose ourselves into the dizziness, or if we lose ourselves into the dizziness, we have where to come back to.
Yes.
What we are seeing that is a lot of people don't have where to come back to into themselves. So everything is becoming dependent on the outside and the outside circumstances. The outside circumstances are so temporarily; they are changing very fast. But there is a place inside of us that never changes, that is always there. We can look upon ourselves when we were 5 years old, when we were adult, when we were older, and there is something that never changed inside of us. So to tap into that, that which didn't change inside of us is our own creation, our being, yeah, our soul, and to start to have a dialogue with that. Like this, all of these confusing mandala suddenly have a center.
That. Before we open up to some questions from everyone tuning in, for somebody that's, well, how do I get to this place? How do I return to this space that feels maybe so foreign or far away or inaccessible? How do I listen to silence? Just maybe a quick tip.
First is to give a space for that longing to interact with that space. Yeah. Because if there is not will not be a longing, we will not give the longing. There is always a longing, but if we will not give the longing a space, then we will not have the motivation. So to start first from that, to listen to the longing and to be loyal to it. Then to find a spiritual practice that is easy for you to interact with spirit. Meditation is one of the best channels for this. Meditation, prayer, yoga, gardening, uh, a space to interact on a more subtle layer with himself, and to start to see what is that made of. Yeah, this life force that we are, what is that made of? As more as we look into it, as more it's becoming clear. Meditation, like I said, is the easiest to, because it's taking the distractions away and you stay just with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So let's see. So everybody tuning in, if you have any questions for Mitra, now is our time. We'll be on for another 10 minutes or so, depending. Everything you shared, Mitra, thank you. This has just been, I could talk to you for hours. So many things.
Likewise.
Let me just refresh and see what comments we've gotten. I don't know how often Facebook refreshes. But in the event that maybe nothing has come through, we can just redirect through the comments. It's a little different than Instagram with the live commenting on here. So maybe we just kind of wrap on a note of where people can stay in touch, where they can find the book, the time to kind of do the uncomfortable, which is plugging other things.
You can find me on Instagram, Mitra Politi, on Facebook, Mitra Politi. The name of the book is Inside Steps to Truth. You can find it on Amazon. My website is Insight, like a mark, and then the book. There you find all the new information or interviews or articles that I will put out, and also some meditations, some free meditations that will be accessible.
Beautiful. And are you currently hosting any workshops, or are you back at Rhythmia?
Yes, Rhythmia opened last week, and I'm happy to be there once a week and to share my work with people in such a beautiful, potent way. Yes, so I am in Rhythmia.
Great. Well, we'll probably end on this note just because Facebook isn't refreshing. So
Yeah.
for now, thank you so much, Mitra. This was just such a wonderful conversation, and your heart and wisdom and spirit is truly a beautiful, beautiful force in this time we occupy.
Thank you so much for having me. It every moment of it. Uh-huh. It's always nice to feel your energy. Yeah. The heart that you are around. Thank you so much.